Ever had the urge to turn your back on a screaming coach or an approaching irate player? I certainly had that urge. I might have even acted upon that urge, but I do not recall in specific. Clearly, I had mentally turned my back, in quotes, on a few occasions. A recent celebrated example is that of noted men's college basketball referee Ted Valentine turning his back to an approaching player during the January 3rd game between North Carolina and Florida State at FSU. The UNC player Joel Berry felt he had been fouled during the quick advance down the floor. The ball went out of bounds on the baseline close to Ted, who signaled the direction. At that very time, Berry came at Ted, and Ted saw him coming. Berry's pace and body language made evident his unhappiness with the lack of a holding call. Ted then did something that, at first, brought a smile to my face. He simply turned 180 degrees away from Berry and, facing the crowd, showed Berry his back. It must be reported that Ted also folded his arms across his chest and jutted his chin up a bit and out. You get the picture, I am sure. Well, there was immediate social media outrage over Ted's action. Within a matter of days, he was suspended for a game by the Atlantic Coast Conference and then the Big Ten, which is another conference for which Ted works. It piled on with a 2-game suspension. It wasn't even a Big Ten assignment. All in all, Ted's turnback, in quotes, cost him north of $7,000 to $8,000 net, I expect. Ted did acknowledge his momentary lapse, and in a subsequent game he and Berry shook hands and chatted up nicely. What are we to make of this incident? To turn your back on someone, on or off the floor, screams your intention to ignore or reject what is at issue. The phrase, to turn your back, also carries with it the leaving of someone or something that has been good to you, been in support of you. It is difficult to come up with a positive interpretation here. In one sense, I do understand why Ted did what he did. The incessant chatter being directed at us by players and coaches can get to you. It isn't supposed to, I know, but it can, and it does. Yet it turns out, turning away won't cut it. That act makes it appear you are turning your back on officiating, the game, and the player. The reaction of the folks who employ Ted's services made that plain. And also, it must be said, using the folded arms on chest and the chin jut added Tabasco sauce to this recipe. Never a good thing. Just try those techniques while you are looking to convince your most significant other of your position. The use of body language is one of the most important tools we have. Much has been written about this in recent years. The images of how we present ourselves, especially in times of conflict, are now memorialized, and they can and will come back to bite us. Why is there such interest in how we go about our business, I ask? The primary reason, in my opinion, is because those who utilize our services understand the power that comes with owning a whistle. That is unsettling to some. They worry we might become a rogue force with overtones of dictatorship. The power we possess implies arrogance, and people today have zero tolerance for arrogance. Thus, we have to do everything we can to wield the power in a fair-minded, understated, and non-arrogant way. We need to be in control without the trappings of being controlling. We carry a big stick, in quotes, and that requires we walk softly. We must protect the game and the integrity of the rules. We can never show a lack of care to that responsibility, and turning your back does just that. When you turn your back on a carping player, you in fact are also turning your back on the game and in some measure on officiating. It might make your point in the heat of the moment, but at the end of the day, your action will hurt you and it will put the rest of us in a bad light. Let's face up to it. Thank you.